So, um, with me, my YouTube watching and like things that I react to on stream, things that I just watch off stream, sometimes I come across stuff that is just like, wait, huh? What in the world? Like, it just gets me. And I kind of saw into this, and I watched some of it, so I'm not gonna not say I didn't watch it, but things are just crazy. It's crazy, and I know I mentioned this before early in the stream, but I just think that Hasan Piker is just not a good spokesman for the left. He's somebody who looks good and all that other good stuff, but he's an idiot. He's a himbo. He has said so much stuff that is just crazy, and it makes the left look like monsters to some people. But let's get into his discussion, his debate at the Cambridge Union. Ron Weasley, I hope he's not making fun of this cat, because he from like the Harry Potter books. So let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Sorry for questioning you, but I'm sure.
What? No, I'm used to it.
I guess the thing I was talking a little bit about was, I know you're not a fan of, I'm not a fan of him either, but, Richie Torres sent a big letter. But,
oh, God.
But in particular, there were some comments in there about sort of dismissing, a lot of people did feel very upset at the time, I remember seeing it, about dismissing why on October 7th as rape fantasies, rape hallucinations. I mean, the UN has gone, checked, verified.
No, you know what's ironic? You want to know what's ironic about that?
So, what gets me is the revisionism that you see Hasan constantly tries to do, right? Hasan actually tries to put out that he never made fun of the assaults that happened on October 7th. He knows that some may have happened, but it wasn't systematic. And it's just like, one, we have the videos of you doing it, dog. We have the videos. It's out there. And you too stupid to try to request them and be taken down off the internet, because not only are you too stupid, but you too self-absorbed. In any video of you need to put it out there. But we know you made fun of it. But let's continue to go.
So that was a 17-second clip that Richie Torres got from a group of people that are trying to present this.
Like, for real, can you keep Destiny's name out of your mouth? I'm not even defending the dude, but every problem, every issue that you have is Destiny. It's DGG, it's Destiny, it's Steven, it's Nebraska Steve. Like, you can't take accountability for the stuff that you said. If I put out something that was wrong and I would go and correct it if I felt it was wrong. If I didn't feel it was wrong, I said it. But people look to him as some beacon of leftist spokespersonality. But every time he's caught in something that he shouldn't have said, oh, well, you're just taking it out of context. Like, your career is built on everything, and your context is your career. People see you. What you want to say is, I didn't want you to take it that way, but unless you was indoctrinated, you'll take it a different way. That's what it is. If you were really indoctrinated into the way I want you to think, then you'll see it the way I see it. But let's continue.
Narrative that I am a vicious anti-Semite that is a rape denialist. And what's really...
Nobody said that, dude. Nobody said that. People say that you are apathetic to what happened to the people on October 7th. And you laugh about it. But it's mostly apathetic. You're apathetic to what's going on in the Middle East, other than what gets you, brownie points from your community. That's what people were saying. And if everybody's saying that you the asshole, it may be that you the asshole. But let's continue.
Really interesting about that clip is that I went back because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I went back and I looked at the 17-second clip that he put in that. And it was actually from a broader conversation where I was arguing against someone who was denying rapes. And I was like, no, I think that there is a very high likelihood that sexual assaults occurred. And I even brought up the UN report that you're suggesting that that there was at least one documented instance of first-hand account testimony from one of the hostages that sexual assault had happened, and that there is no reason to disparage or to claim that it did not happen when there is at least evidence that it did.
So why are there multiple videos of you actually, like literally during a speech that Kamala Harris was actually doing, you laughed about it? Like, I knew that they're going to bring it up, as if it was a lie, dog. People see this. Are you going to believe him or your lying eyes? But let's continue.
And that it had not changed the dynamic of genocide for me even a little bit. And I think
that the way,
and the thing, and you also hear this whole, basically, well, it happened because, that still don't mean, it happened. So I'm justifying that it happened because this genocide. It's like you don't have a fleshed out, nuanced point about what's going on. So you just say genocide because I don't have to explain it anymore. And because genocide, well, everything that happened to them, second thought wasn't exactly wrong. That's how that comes off. And when people ask you about condemning second thought, you was like, no. You dismiss it. But let's continue.
in which you said that to a lot of people sounded very, very dismissive. Like, no. Especially to people who, had relatives who were perhaps murdered or taken away, or who felt that, the loss of life on that day.
So let me ask you this question.
Traumatic for the Jewish community.
Let me ask you this question. Now that you know the broader context,
You were dismissive. That's it. You were dismissive. I don't care if, Satan himself, oh my Lucifer, came up and said, aha, we have Hasan showing this clip. And I know that there's a clip of you, not somebody telling you, but we literally have a clip of you saying that. Dude, you the liar. We have a clip. We have you. Is this the clearest video I've seen? Is this in 4K? They caught you in 4K. Or whatever Twitch is. But let's go.
Do you feel as though, do you feel like you were maybe duped? I don't want to say duped, but that you saw this.
Oh, since you didn't take it like I wanted you to take it, then you were lied to. You were duped. It was a narrative that was building. Aren't you building a narrative? It doesn't matter that I'm building a narrative. I want you to see things my way.
That was very clearly out of context. Does that change your opinion a little bit, or do you feel like I'm running defense?
I'm very much on the sort of. I've always been on the pro-Palestine side. A left-leaning person, so I never looked at what I saw.
And see, another thing too, this would actually gets me. It's the lack of just nuance about what's going on. You know whose side I'm on? I'm on the citizen side. I'm on the people that actually need to live in a place. A lot of them have been there for at least a generation. Some of them were actually kicked out of other countries. And yes, even what's going on with Palestine, they've lived there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But when you come down to it, the people that's making these decisions about what's going on are not the people that actually care about their citizens. They care about their power struggles. And that's the scary part. Nobody is talking about that. The people that's on the Palestinian side don't care about the Jewish people that's been there for at least a generation, or people who have lived in different countries that got expelled out. The people that are on the pro-Israel side, a lot of them don't care about the Palestinians. When elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. And that's what it should be about. You get idiots like Hasan's yeah, Israel shouldn't exist. And it's disgusting. Again, going back to that phrase, well, when the Houthis come, they're going to, stop the trade through the Suez Canal, and then people are anything, Amazon packages late. and then they're going to want to leave Israel. You get people like Frogan talking about, yeah, they could just go back to Brooklyn. And it's just like, you realize what you're saying, right? I've heard that shit. You don't like it here, go back to Africa. Why are you using the tools of the people that you say that you are oppressors in order to like make your point? You just want revenge, dog. But let's continue.
As I said, this is justification for blockade, genocide, anything like that. But I did see, I'm also a humanitarian, and I think that it's important when you're trying to solve a conflict, or when you're trying to stop violence, that you honestly say what happened. And what happened was,
I agree.
Murderous militants went in to a music festival and murdered hundreds of teenagers in cold blood, and often massacred and mutilated them in ways.
Why is Hasan just looking like another thing, another lie, or it's like it doesn't matter that happened? There was a massacre that happened on October 7th. You can't just you just can't disregard that. It was something. Not only was it just like they captured it on video, dog. That was a thing that happened. Now, of course, I'm not surprised about Hasan actually, not caring the civilians were hurt. I mean, like he did praise 9/11, or he said America deserved 9/11. I'm not surprised about that. I don't know why so many people are surprised about that when his claim to fame was that, oh yeah, it's okay for civilians to die. That's the real thing. He is okay with civilians being hurt as long as it advances his cause of what he thinks is cool. Not an actual resolution, but it must be cool. But let's continue.
That we have on camera, and that is deeply traumatic to me. And I guess this was linking to a broader point that, yes, I understand this whole thing, but there is context to this, and you can't just sort of suggest any violent action is justifiable and so on if they don't hold views you like. But this is endemic.
I don't. But I don't.
Ideology
Do you think I maintain that
position?
position?
It doesn't.
No. But do you think I maintain that position? Do you think that I think that it was wholeheartedly justifiable?
I think certainly.
Yes. As many times as you said, well, international law says oppressed people can fight back any type of they want to. Yes, I do believe that. But let's continue.
You haven't been very clear in your condemnations at times, and I've watched what you said.
Okay.
It doesn't seem, for example,
I have.
in the course of your talk, you didn't mention what happened on October 7th once.
Yeah.
You mentioned it as the start of the conflict. You didn't mention.
I don't even think it's the start of the conflict. I actually, if you recall, started the conversation even before the inception of the state of Israel. There's a deliberate reason.
So, what's your resolution besides doing brownie points to your audience of tankies? What's your resolution? Do you talk about this for the Kurdish fighters that we have, that they should actually get some land of their own? We know you don't care about what's happening in Ukraine because you think that, Crimea was always part of Russia, even though the same stuff that you claim Israel is doing is what Russia did to Crimea about genociding the Tatars that were there and, replacing them with, their own people. We know that was happening. We know that's still happening, but you don't speak about it because literally your whole political view is America bad. And you think that I'll be joking, but he literally has clips of him saying, well, you see who the U.S. was aligned with in the Middle East, and then you go against them. This man literally does this. But let's go.
For why I did that, because I think it's important to understand the historical context in which violent resistance.
There's no context for murdering hundreds of teenagers, is there?
The answer that you first say, no, there is no context in murdering hundreds of teenagers. That's the first thing that you say. But he's going to whataboutism, murdering hundreds of teenagers. That's How? How? There is no context where that is okay. No context. But what about ism? Well, let's continue.
Yes, I think there's always context. Just like there's context.
He said yes. He says yes. There's an excuse for militants going and killing a bunch of teenagers. Wow. And people follow this. The most people that follow this are people that are living on stolen land. The people that say okay to this are people that are living in the U.S. that weren't actually citizens of the U.S. Wow. Let's go.
Justified.
I don't think it's a contextual justification. I think it's offering background and analysis. Analysis is not justification. I mean, this is a deliberative body, right? We're in a space for free speech and debate. And I think that this is actually, ironically, one of the things that I don't like about debate is that there is a woeful
You don't know how to. You know how to dodge questions. You don't know how to bring evidence because you don't care about the evidence. You care about generalizations. That's why you don't want to do debates. And if someone wants to bring evidence to you, you have an issue where you want granular or minute details of evidence that have nothing to do with the overall point that's been made.
interpretation that exists in this space, and that especially when we talk about certain things, like certain subjects that are very difficult to broach in an open and honest manner, I think a lot gets lost in the nuance. And I think you understand where I'm coming from when I talk about this, like that October 7 is, I've never said that October 7 is like the inception or the first stage in what has unfolded. I think that it's important to understand the context in which violent resistance has evolved, whether it be Hamas or whether it be any militancy against like overarching.
What was happening on October 7th didn't look like an evolution of violent resistance. It didn't. It looked like the stuff that you read in the history book of when towns got sacked. They came in, killed a bunch of people, assaulted a bunch of people, and then fought the actual troops. And before you guys say that, oh, that seems like some racist overtones, like, no, that's just the history of people that come in and sack towns. That was a sacking of that area of the map. It was barbaric, not because of who did it, but the activities of they actually did. They literally filmed them with the body of a woman. That's the military order is breaking down and let the angry people do whatever they want to the people that they see is less than human. And I thought we stopped doing that a long time ago. Or we at least should have started doing it when we start having actual civilian military. But what happened on October 7th? It was monstrous. And anybody who says anything other than that, other than it was a provocation, because Hamas knew what they were going to actually be doing. They knew the overreaction that they were actually going to get, and they got it. For you to sell it as, oh, it's just freedom fighting. Freedom fighters don't do that. Freedom fighters come in, they liberate people, and then they leave. That was a sack. You know it and I know it. Where the goal is to kill a bunch of people and send a message, that's not freedom fighting. It'll be freedom fighting if they attack a military target, a government building. That's freedom fighting. That was just pure unadulterated, carnage. But let's continue.
Oppressive colonial actions.
But I suppose what I'm saying to you is there's time for nuance, and there's also time to say something is unequivocally evil, and something is
He's just not paying attention. He's trying to see what drink I can get. Like, he's not paying attention. Oh, God. Like, At this point, when I saw this fool actually just, oh, let me give me a drink. He doesn't have the patience enough to sit back and listen to somebody making a point. I would have just like, I'm done with this.
Unequivocally unjustifiable.
I think
I'm wondering why you can say that correctly about the wealth of Israeli atrocities. But to actually fix this conflict and gain trust with people, you need to say that unequivocally about the murder of hundreds of teenagers at the Supernova Music Festival, their mutilation and often their rape. And I don't know why you can't say that.
I don't. First of all, in terms of using the language of mutilation and rape, and also consistently saying that there is a contextual justification for it, I think.
You upset about language being used? Mister, it's a genocide. You upset about language being used? No, you can't use this language because it makes me look really bad for actually saying something bad about it. Like, makes me look really bad. You can't use this language, but I'm going to use this language. Wow. Okay. Let's go.
The violence that states engage in, specifically an apartheid state, which you agree is Israel's an apartheid state. Okay.
Why are you going here? Stop answering questions with questions. Address the point. Like, this dude who's actually conducting the interview, not the debate, the interview is just so English proper. Like, we don't want to seem as if we're being, uncouth to the Lord. Like, no. Answer my question. Address the questions that I'm asking you. Stop asking other questions. Answer the question, then go into your point. God, he's doing the ultra instinct dodge. Let's go.
So the violence that an apartheid state engages in is oftentimes considered to be invisible. There is a tremendous number of documented. There's a tremendous number of speakers and media representatives that have actively communicated all of the violence that has unfolded on October 7th. I myself have also maintained the position that any kind of violence against civilians is completely unjustifiable.
No, you haven't. You haven't even in this conversation. You literally, in this conversation, have actually said, well, it's context to it. Your career started with you saying that America deserved 9/11. The fuck is wrong with you, dude? Why don't more people call him on his bullshit?
But I think it's more productive to at least be a resilient voice that, especially in the West, that tries to explain that these aren't barbaric monsters, that these are horrifying atrocities that they did, right? But that it is not coming out of a place of this antiquated anti-Semitic tendencies, or that they wanted to go out and do mass rapes, or any number of different ways in which people.
Nobody said that they just want to go out and do mass sexual assaults. Nobody said that, dog. But people have been saying that this is a terrorism group, that this is a group of people that oppress their own citizens, that kill more of their own citizens than what Israel does. That's what people have been saying. And we're saying, how could you, champion that? That's what's going on. Don't you get it?
People have, I think, in a very unhelpful way, tried to claim that there is no emancipatory ambition here, and that there is no valid interest in wanting to be rid of Israeli sovereignty.
No, there isn't. It's power for the sake of power. If they cared about emancipatory ambition, they wouldn't kill their own people. It is people in power trying to make decisions to get their own power, and they're using where we're gonna make this country in the Middle East great again, as long as we get rid of these people. Assad fled Syria. You think he did it for the Syrian people? No, it was about his own power. I don't get this. Oh, they're noble, but they have savage tendencies. They because oppressed, because the West, even though all of the things that he has his success in is based on the West. Oh, it's bad because reasons. But let me take advantage of actually being in the West. But the West is bad.
Do you think that by invading the Gaza Strip, that they were not motivated by anti-Semitism, given the fact that they were murdering civilians indiscriminately?
Invading the Gaza Strip?
By invading from the Gaza Strip into Israel.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were not motivated by anti-Semitism, given that they were murdering citizens in... No.
No.
That is remarkable.
No,
the entire logic of Hamas
I don't.
on anti-Semitism.
No.
And if you don't recognise that, then you're never going to build any trust with the Jewish community.
Wow, he actually, grew some teeth, grew some fangs. Like, dude, it's part of their ideology. It's not just like, oh, yeah, we want to, get rid of oppression. No, they literally want to wipe them out. It is a blood feud. And Hasan right here is lying. We know he's lying. He literally had the Houthi kid on, where the flag just denounces like wanting to, wipe out the Jewish people on their flag. But let's continue.
If you have people who are out there and suggesting that your people don't have a right to exist, the slogan of the Houthis who you so admire is death to the Jews.
I know, and I've been very critical of that as well.
Well,
I don't.
No, you haven't. You played their theme song on your stream, dog. Where have you been? In private? You played their theme song on it. I watch people putting together, different like Damascus steel swords, people melting down like old machineries and turn them into bullion bars. He literally watched somebody create a sniper rifle on his stream and said, "Oh, it's great. Look at them. They're creating their own sniper rifle." Like, it was fucking 7 days to die. They created a pipe barrel sniper rifle.
I don't know if that's enough not to platform somebody and call them a sexy pirate.
That person wasn't I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but that was a 19-year-old Yemeni teenager that was actually not associated with the Ansar Allah movement at all.
He said he was. He literally has, before he comes on stream, saying he was. Why are you lying, dog? People have pointed out the videos. You refuse to watch him on stream because you know. Let's go.
There is enormous debate about that, and it is highly unlikely he'd be fighting with them if he had no connections to them. And you were not.
He was not. He was not fighting with them. There is a lot that gets lost in the translation, and certainly
he was on the ship with them. He said he was giving the crew specifically a drug to smoke with them. No, he's just a PR guy. Yeah, he's just a PR guy. He's not part of them. He's just a PR guy.
And I think a lot of commentary has existed in the space of a conversation that I had 10 months ago, or at this 11 months ago, before the Ansar Allah administration was even designated as an official state-sponsored terrorist organization. Joe Biden had actually taken them out of that classification that Donald Trump had put them in because of the fact that they were moving on, that the Saudi-Iranian normalization had taken place. And that person, the 19-year-old Yemeni teenager, I originally thought was a Houthi. And I'm very open about that.
And you were perfectly happy to give him a hang.
Oh, absolutely. I think that there is. It would have been a very different conversation. But having said that, if you think that I would have, there were points in that conversation where I asked them directly, "What do you think about Jewish people? What would you say if I were to tell you that there are a lot of Jewish people who are leading anti-Zionist protests in America?" And his answer was very clear. And this is a person.
See, and this is where he has his issue with deniability. He says, "But my Jewish friend." I get it. There is a group of people who hate Netanyahu, really fucking hate Netanyahu. But to say unless you are totally against the state of Israel even existing, then you're a Zionist, which I think the left should just leave that word alone and keep it for let the Nazis keep that word. You shouldn't just start using that. Because in the end, you're doing the bidding of what the neo-Nazis and the other people actually want. They want to ostracize Jewish people. And the left is playing into that. Well, let's go.
Person that has
IDF soldier, and they said, "Oh, I don't hate Palestinians." You would critically engage and examine that, but you do not critically engage and examine with this individual. And instead, you
because
ignore
because an
the
IDF
context.
because an IDF soldier in many circumstances is living in similar conditions to someone like myself.
Why do y'all let him get away with this lie? Why? He's a multi-millionaire streamer. Not only that, he was a spoiled rich kid. His family had money well before he was born. There is literally a book put out by his uncle saying how Jank's father started making the family money because he was an engineer. Hasan grew up as a rich kid. Don't let any of that bullshit he originally is from the US that went to Turkey because that's where we had the money. He is not some pour it down in his luck kid that just happened to live a dream. No, he is a rich kid. He drives a sports car. Well, I needed to get a mansion because I needed to stay in Hollywood and I needed to have a, 3-car garage for, no, you're a rich kid. But let's continue.
So I treat someone in the Western world with Nazi ambitions very differently.
No, I think this is interesting because it suggests that you don't have a moral universalism. What I've heard from you is this very eloquent, and I agree with it, moral condemnation of the atrocities. But when we talk about the murder of gay people en masse in Yemen, when we talk about, for example, Tibet's oppression under China, or when we talk about what Hamas has done to gay people within that, or what they do to Jewish hostages, you enter this contextual blather. And it strikes...
Yeah, and of course, because one rule for thee and not for me. That's just it. Well, if the U.S. wasn't oppressing, the people in the Middle East, they'll be open to the LGBTQ community. Dude, we had the books, dog. We have, the Torah, the Bible, the Quran. That's one of the things that they pretty much frown on before the U.S. started. That's the sad part about it is it's ignoring the literal cultures before the U.S. started. It's ignoring the history of the region. Or it's U.S. bad because U.S. bad. They don't like gay people. Never mind. One of the biggest, a few of the biggest heroes in that whole part of the world were I was watching a video earlier today about the Epic of Gilgamesh. Dude was a flaming bi guy. He met Enkidu and they were in love. But you will never hear that story just promoted in there because the culture. Alexander the Great, one of the most fictitious Macedonian warriors there is, was bi. And, Christians, you don't escape it too because David was bi. Him embracing Jonathan and with no clothes off in the field when they were well and good. Yeah, they were bi. But that was looked down on in the modern era, not just in the Middle East, but in a lot of places around the world, even though the people that were in power that were looking down on, they were making it a taboo stand, were actually doing it themselves. That's not a Western oppressive thing. That's a, hey, we want power, so we want to oppress as many people as we can. Ooh, look, those other people who are not like you. But let's continue.
Because you want to know why? You want to know why? Because Israel has killed significantly larger numbers of gay Palestinians than Hamas has, and that is precisely why I think it's a universally unproductive conversation to consistently.
I need the numbers on that, man. I need the numbers on that. Can you give me the numbers on that? I need the source.
Talk about the many different moral failings, especially when I look at this with my own personal background, with the understanding that reactionary movements grow when there are outside forces that are invading a country. This is something that I actually talked about with respect to Ukraine as well, that while there were many movements within Ukraine that were constantly fighting against paramilitary groups that had started off as like offshoots of football hooligans, the Azov Brigade being one of them, that once Ukraine was invaded by Russia, that the inevitable violence was going to make all of the most right-wing reactionary forces, the emancipatory forces that were going to dominate the country in perpetuity. We saw this with Iran.
First off, what? Did he just say a whole bunch of nothing? Well, when Azov was coming around, they're going to come take over Ukraine. That didn't happen, dog. That's a lie. That's a lie. Wait, what? Wait, what? You know that's a lie, right? And I do want to say it gives credence to the fact that, when a country is invading, like some of the undesirable groups, be it from both left and right wing, you see how he kept that out, gets pushed into like a mishmash of the normal forces if it's actually helped protect the country. But that doesn't mean they always get power. By his hypothesis there, that would make the communist revolution that took over Russia right wing. I mean, like, we know it was right wing, but it will make it actual right wing, because that's what happened. Conservative party took over the reins of power in the form of Stalin. But let's continue.
Stabilization of Iran, backed by the CIA, caused the Ayatollah to overtake the country, because in most circumstances, when Western forces or an outside force is coming into your country, you don't care about who is actually fighting back. You just want the pain to stop. You want the violence to end. And I examine this across the board in the exact same vein. When a larger, more powerful country meddles in the affairs of a smaller country, no matter how big or small. Yeah, Iran, exactly. Iran is a perfect example of this. I think that the Iranian destabilization and the implementation of the Shah regime is quite literally the reason why the Ayatollahs were able to gain momentum.
Intervention of Iran in the other powers, but
see, and like, this is just, the guy mentioned Iran, and he's talking about currently what Iran is doing. Oh no, that doesn't matter because reasons. It doesn't matter because we need to go back to the 1970s, and even though they're fighting against the U.S., what Iran is doing now in the Middle East is the U.S.'s fault because reasons.
In terms of the broader problem with that,
but do you understand where I'm coming from? Because there is universality there, and I think the universality is hard to grasp, especially if you've grown up in the United Kingdom or if you've grown up in America. It's very difficult for people in the Western world to shed themselves of Western chauvinist frameworks and engage in.
Motherfucker, leave. No, leave. Go to Iran. Go to all of these places. I'm not even gonna say go back to Turkey because Turkey ain't exactly free from the whole Western influence right now. Go to all of these countries that you said are just awesome and great because they're fighting against the West, and you're selling your image in your hands by actually being in Western countries. Because remember, you need to have absolute ideological purity. Go to these countries that says, yeah, the West is bad. Because in the end, you're just pushing this narrative of like, I want to actually seem like I'm more holier than now because the West. Is he using his platform to actually do any changes? No. He just gets online, makes money off of bitching that America bad. That's all he does. So go out there, go to these countries that can show how right you are, how American are bad. That will allow you to speak ill of America and champion you. Put you on, not only on Twitch, to put you on the national news to say, I grew up in America and I was educated in the American system and America bad. You don't like you praise these leaders of these terrorist groups for? How you said that, oh, most of these people were educated in the West or America, and then they came back and been freedom. You thought it was cool that people were freedom fighters. Do that. Let's see. Let's go, Hasan. I know this is America. This is my country. People that actually hate the way my country is structured about giving the people who live here the opportunity to change it, they need to leave. Be it white, black, Hispanic, whatever. My country is decided that it wants to be the best. And making decisions and influencing people to change my country is what I need to do. Instead of saying, America bad. We need to fight against the West. You sound like a cosplayer. But let's continue.
And I'm not saying you're doing this, but engage in what I have seen as pinkwashing by consistently talking about the internal dynamics of any kind of resistance group when, in fact, we do not make those considerations for many of our allies, and it's not even something that is remotely brought up in this.
You're making it for Israel right now. You are literally saying they should be better because they're our allies. What are you talking about? Actually, you're just saying that they shouldn't exist, actually. That's what you're really saying. I don't get it. I don't get it. Am I missing something? Am I missing? Deflect. Not answer a question. Dodge. Deflect. And then whatever rules that I have for other people, they don't work against me.
In this conversation, as far as like universality goes, I've never heard anybody go, we got to stop giving Saudi Arabia weapons because of the horrifying treatment of gay people. I still think it's unjustifiable, just like it's unjustifiable.
But we have, the person that literally we have though. When Trump was in office, he didn't care because he was getting Saudi money for from oil. Literally. Is he just lying or is he just stupid? Let's continue.
Justifiable in Yemen. But ultimately, the way I look at it, if there is a much larger, much more powerful country that is getting unlimited weapons from the most powerful country on the planet, and they are engaging in wholesale slaughter, I think analyzing or interpreting the dynamic of like Hamas and gay people in that regard is ultimately not only unproductive, but also it's not something that is within our realm of power even. I think that these countries, my country, Turkey, for example.
Motherfucker, you an American. I don't get this. Why does he play this like, yeah, nah. Dude, you are an American, dude. You spent more of your life in America than you have in Turkey. You were born in Jersey. You are a fucking American. You act American because you think that the way you look at the world is the most important view of it. You say anything you want about the government, and then you're hypocritical about everything else. You are one of the most American Americans there is. The fuck? Let's go.
Will inevitably, once they have breathing room, have the time and opportunity to be able to advocate for their own civil liberties. Because at the end of the day, the gay people that Hamas could potentially harm are still gay Palestinians. Does that make sense? And it's in it, and we have the benefit of living in the UK or in the United States of America, where we have undergone this process of civil liberties and advocacy for civil liberties, and be able to overcome these issues like the structure.
Motherfucker, stop. Because we know before the age of the Renaissance, we actually had the Arab world were more progressive than the European part of the world. We know that. That's why we have things like arithmetic, the alphabet. Like these are words with roots of, the in Arabic in nature. We know this. The flame of human civilization after Rome died went to the Arab world, and then it came back to Europe. We know that. We know that this is some things that happened. But what happened was a shift in power, and people kind of devolved into fiefdoms. And that which like religious reign, like for real, like if you go back to like the alphabet or arithmetic or these things were actually the flame of of Greece and Rome were carried by the Arabic world for a while the center switched to the Renaissance. It was a thing. You can actually say they were even more open at that time. But what's going on now is a bunch of petty ass dictators trying to keep their grasp on power. That's what's going on right now. And when it's petty ass dictators trying to keep their grasp on power, then people that they can easily point out and target, which usually are gay people, and turns out some immigrants or people that don't look like the major majority of the population, or women, they get targeted. That's not because this civilization is backward because of reasons. It's the de-evolution of a country when a wannabe tin pot dictator takes over. But by the way, y'all said it wasn't the Democratic Party wasn't good, and now we have another return of a tin pot dictator. I wonder who they're gonna start targeting first. Fuck out of here.
Structural hurdles of systematic discrimination that gay people face. Like, I mean, think about Alan Turing.
I think there are two issues. Sorry if I just could respond quickly.
If I can just say, you've been debating for a very long time, and by all means.
Sorry, I don't mean to...
No, it's fine.
I would love to sort of offer some of Cambridge Union's sort of fantastic hospitality, maybe British culture, maybe.
Sorry.
The pub.
Okay, it looks like this is over. So yeah, no, this is just 15 minutes of just bullshit talk. And just to see the lies and bullshit that Hasan pulls in that 15 minutes, I don't know what else to say, man. It's just irritating. But anyway, I know I'm gonna get the Hasan hate fans. Cool, I love your tears. And any other problems that you have, cool. I love it. I love it. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. We're gonna cut this video segment here. I want to say thank you to all my Patreon supporters and my Twitch subscribers. Join the Guardians, become a member, or become a subscriber on YouTube, Patreon, and help support the channel. Thank you for watching this video, and the next one should be popping up on your screen. Subscribe, and if you haven't checked it out and want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon. Thanks.